What's going on, my beautiful people? Back again with another YouTube video. Today I'm gonna be breaking down this R&B slash West Coast type of beat that I made over this past weekend. I was actually in San Francisco with family, and I didn't have any of my recording equipment on me, so I couldn't capture this live as much as I wanted to. But I love this beat so much that I kind of felt the obligation. Just, you know what, I'm gonna make a breakdown video of this beat. So yeah, without further ado, before I even get into it, this is what the beat sounds like. Right, so to me, like, the reason why I describe it like a R&B slash West Coast, because you can clearly hear the West Coast LA type of drum patterns, but like this guitar melody and like some of the leads that I use is, I guess, an R&B element. But I'll just go to the breakdown part of the things, right? So I'll start off with the leads. So in the leads, it's pretty much three instruments. The first one is this guitar loop that I got off Looperman. By the way, producers, if you are not familiar with Looperman, y'all need to mess with Looperman, man. Probably one of the best. Like, well, one, it's like a OG royalty-free website to get loops, and one, it just has a lot of amazing producers uploading loops daily for people to use for free. So mess with Looperman, man. So yeah, this is how it sounds like by itself. Right, so I really just like the tone and like the melody choice of how this guitarist played that melody. To me, it just gives a certain vibe of, I don't know, like an R&B type of vibe, which is why I really liked it. And as far as the chain, you know, took off a lot of the low end, took off like 300 hertz, got a little muddy there. Used black box to add some warmth to it. I used to add the C6. Looks like I turned it off. Imager, give it some more stereo, and then Little Sauce. Use a halftime plugin. You know, the 2x mode, and then I set it to a quarter note loop, and then I adjust the mix to around 18% while only affecting frequencies above 500 hertz all the way up. Right, so pretty much just a little chain just to give it that nice warmth. But here, let me show you guys how it'll sound without the effects. And then with. Right, so everything just got warmer, everything kind of just got wider. Yeah, so that's that. And then this is a little lead that I played. It was MIDI at first, and then I converted it to audio, but this is what this sounds like. Right, so I believe this was from Expand. Again, I love Expand as a plugin. A lot of good sounds from there. Yeah, so I wish I saved the MIDI track before I converted to audio, but I believe it had like a multi-band compressor. Definitely took out a lot of high end, give it more of like that filtered feel. And then I believe I added, or I don't know if it was built in an Expand, but there's like for sure a flanger or like some kind of phaser or delay built in the preset, right? So that's that. And then I added, after everything was rendered and bounced, I added another stereo imager to give it more width, right? So this is what it sounds like with the guitar melody. Right, so it is very tucked underneath the guitar because the guitar is very overpowering. I can almost kind of tell in this beat, but if you just listen to when I do a little like ride it with the melody or on the scale, you can kind of hear it pop out a little bit more, which is what I liked. So to me, like this middle lead is like taking over like the middle frequencies of like the sound spectrum, and then the guitar is so warm that it kind of acts as like a sub bass or like a guitar bass, right? So to me, when I'm always producing, I always think of like the sound spectrum, and like, I try to just use up the entire sound spectrum, just so I'm not thinking too much of my mixing choices and too much of like my sound selection, right? So that's that. And then going on to the next part of the instruments, it's just another lead, more in the high end type of things, but it's what it sounds like. I'll play it by itself. Right, so this again from Expand, was MIDI, then converted to audio. But yeah, typical, like, I know a lot of West Coast beats. It has like that high end sine wave instrument. And for me, since I play the piano, I like playing a lot of top end melodies on top of beats. So this is one that I found, or this is the one that I created for this beat. So let me just play all three together. That's what it sounds like. Right, so that's it for the leads of this beat. Let's move on to the drums. So this is what the drum sounds like before I get into anything. Let me just play it for you guys. Right, so very, very, very common drum pattern in West Coast beats, especially like that stomp sound, right? So yeah, like again, I guess I'll just go over it lightly, right? So, first the kick. I know a lot of people. Well, I don't know about a lot of people, but for me, I wanted to experiment something a little bit more different, because I know a lot nowadays, a lot of West Coast beats, they have more of like a very punchy drum. However, for myself, I love bass in music, so I wanted to incorporate like low end without adding an actual 808. So this is like a kick slash 808 all combined in one. So this kick is very bass heavy, but let me just play it. Right, so I don't know what this chain is. I don't know why there's two mono signals. I'm gonna delete that, right? So, but then the only thing I say I want to comment on is just this transient designer. Again, what this does, it just makes that official hit of the kick a little bit more punchier. So let me see if I can play. Let me play without. This is what it sounds like, and then this is what it sounds like with. Very hard to tell, maybe because this dry wet knob is like super turned down. Let me try it without again, and then with. Yeah, so when this is on, like that punch is a lot heavier. Right, so I just turned down that dry wet knob a little bit, just to give it some. I wouldn't want too much of the punch, because it does have a lot of punch in general. I just want to give a little bit more. So that's that. Right, and then so that's a kick. Let me go over the whole entire drum bus. I guess I should have done that first, right? But this is the drum bus. Is pretty much again that transient designer that you just saw affecting the entire drum chain, right? And then I EQ'd the drum bus just to kind of give it some more clarity. So for me, I took a little bit of low end because I realized it was a little bass heavy. But then when I rolled off a little bit of like, it says like 12 hertz, like just, you won't even hear that. But that in itself kind of gave the low end a little bit more clearness, a little bit more pristine. Took out a little bit of the mud that I found here in 200, 300. Boosted 1.2 for that clap and that snare to come through. And then a little slight bump, not even like a dB, or it is pretty much a dB, but a dB of like a little bit of the high end, just to kind of give more of that shakers and those hi-hats, those timbres that you hear a little bit more clarity, right? So that's the drum chain. I again, guys, like this isn't like, some crazy samples or choices that I use. This is very common like sounds you'll find in a lot of West Coast production nowadays. An example is like this hi-hat. You find this hi-hat everywhere, right? Like so simple, nothing crazy with the pattern. 808 crash, open hi-hats, right? Different variations of claps, mess with the timing just to give it more realistic feel. You have your triangle perk, again, timbres, the stomps, some cowbells, right? So to me, it's like when you, I don't know, whatever genre you want to be producing for, there's like elements of like what really defines a beat and what defines a genre. And if you can find those sounds that really define a genre, then in people's heads when they listen to your beat, it's like, okay, like I know what kind of quote unquote genre this guy is going for, right? Um, yeah, so this is pretty much the whole beat, guys. Like I just messed with the variation down the beat, the beat structure and whatnot. Um, but yeah, let me just play it one more time through so you can kind of get everything now that I broke everything down. But yeah, here's the beat again one more time. And something is muted. Let me just hit this. Cool. Hella poppy. Let me see. Could be like the amount of CPU or plugins we're using, right? But let me see. Let me try right? So that's pretty much the whole beat. And then one last thing I wanted to go over was I clicked on my master chain and I forgot to go over this. But I use this mastering compressor that I absolutely love. It's called Shadow Hills. Honestly, I wish I had the actual in real life audio equipment of this, but I know it's bucks and I know it's super rare to get one nowadays. But this is the best one. Again, shout out Plugin Alliance for what they do with plugins and how it works for them. But yeah, Shadow Hills. That's like the first thing, and then I use a glue compressor with soft clipper on, range all the way to 0, and literally don't even touch anything. What this will do is when a kick or something that's really loud is gonna go above 0 dB, it'll actually clip it. It'll clip the signal coming in, and instead of like a limiter, like flat off cutting the signal, it'll just round it out. So to me, it gives more of like that warmth and I guess harmonic distortion type of feel, which I like in my beats. And then again, just a little sound meter just to kind of see where my levels are at. But yeah, guys, like this is pretty much the entire beat. I'll probably play it throughout at the very end of this video just for you guys to kind of vibe out and whatnot. But again, guys, expect more of these type of breakdown videos. Everything from my beats to my mixes that I do for people or for artists. You can expect that type of content coming out in the near future. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, if you have any comments, questions, whatever it may be, please just leave them down below. But yeah, hit that subscribe button. Your boy is gonna definitely be more active on YouTube. But yeah, man, without further ado, here's a beat one more time, and I hope you guys have a good one. Peace out.